Let the curtain rise and cue that downbeat as we take a walk through the theater of Alligator Alcatraz, accompanied by an orchestra of power, complete with swamp creatures, cages, and a script written to terrify. I'm Charles Randolph, and welcome to Speak Online. In this episode, we are pulling back the curtain on Florida's Alligator Alcatraz, its origins, its policies, and what it means when fear itself becomes policy and spectacle of the state. Grab your hat, grab your gun, and your favorite cigar of choice. It's time to go hunting. Act 1, the set. The story opens on an unlikely stage, an airstrip carved out of Big Cypress Swamp in South Florida. Here, amid a vast expanse of sawgrass and mangroves, the state of Florida erected a sprawling tent city in just over a week. The new immigrant detention camp, officially the South Florida Detention Facility, but grimly nicknamed Alligator Alcatraz, sits isolated in the heart of the Everglades, roughly 40 miles west of Miami. Clusters of white aluminum frame tents now stand in contrast to the wetlands. Floodlights glare through the night. In every direction outside the perimeter, water, sawgrass, and lurking reptiles. Florida's Attorney General, James Uthmeier, joked that Mother Nature provided the perfect perimeter. Quote, "There's no way in and no way out. People get out, there's not much waiting for them other than pythons and alligators." President Trump echoed this notion, with the facility has, quote, "a lot of bodyguards and a lot of cops that are in the form of alligators. I wouldn't want to run through the Everglades for long." The stage is set, a tented encampment on a remote swamp beset by alligators, pythons, infestations, and heat. This inhospitable landscape is both the setting and the message. It says, escape is futile, and even nature itself is a conscripted jailer. But let's get serious for a second in Act 2, the script. Every theater needs a script for the characters to play their part and justify the story. In the case of Alligator Alcatraz, the official script is one of emergency, a just response to the required housing for soon-to-be deported illegal immigrants. Check it out. Whoever picked the music, rock on, bro.
House as many as 1,000 criminal aliens. This presents a great opportunity for the state of Florida to work with Miami-Dade and Collier counties. Alligator Alcatraz, we're ready to go.
Wow. That guy, what a badass should have worn a leather jacket and had Arnold Schwarzenegger dressed as Terminator walking by him and at the end have him say, "Hasta la vista, baby." As you can see, very pro First Amendment here. Anyway, back to it. The name itself is one of marketing genius, sparking cognitive associations of threat through harm. That's your alligator, and Alcatraz, which symbolizes no escape. Trump reportedly loved the concept, and the camp went from idea to reality in just 8 days. The Trump administration amplified the narrative with Homeland Security Kristi Noem, or as I like to call her, Bad Bitch Barbie, in full support and a place to hold the worst scumbags. Trump in turn proclaimed on July 1st, and I quote, "The facility will house some of the most menacing migrants, some of the most vicious people on the planet, all those hombres." Nonetheless, Act 2 ended with triumphant fanfare from its authors. The cruelty of the camp was not a secret to be hushed up. It was the selling point. In an article by ABC, Lee, an immigration attorney, observed, "I've never seen treatment so deliberately cruel and explicitly aimed at disincentivizing people from immigrating to the United States based on how they are treated." Act 3, the actors. In this Floridian theater of power, who are the actors on stage? Let's introduce the cast. The protagonists, the good guys, depends on your perspective of who the antagonists, that is the bad guys, are. You either perceive the headliners, Trump and Noem, as doing the right thing and protecting us from the antagonists, the dangerous, vicious, threatening illegal immigrants, and perceive Trump as the dictatorial oppressor victimizing people who mean us no harm. What's interesting is that the sales pitch, that is the treatment of immigrants, is what leads the left to make the headliners the bad guys. The theater of it all, though, plays to the audience, which we will explore in Act 4. The producers and directors. Front and center, we have Governor Ron DeSantis and his Attorney General James Uthmeier, architects of the project. DeSantis, eager to prove himself, Trump's most loyal understudy, and a bit of foreshadowing there for a future presidential campaign. You can bet on it. It's a reach for Trump's base. The supporting cast includes the enforcers, ICE, the National Guard, ancillary characters, those detainees who may be unduly prosecuted. The chorus consists of civil rights activists, immigration attorneys, and environmentalists. Act 4. The audience. No theater is complete without an audience. In the saga of Alligator Alcatraz, there are multiple audiences, each meant to take away a carefully crafted impression. Understanding who this spectacle is for and against helps illuminate why it exists at all. Audience 1, the base. First and foremost, this show plays to the right-wing base of Governor DeSantis and President Trump. For hardcore supporters who have long chanted, "Build the wall," and owned Trump's crypto coin hat or purchased his sakes. Alligator Alcatraz is red meat, a visceral fulfillment of promises to crack down on immigration by any means necessary. Recall the literal red hat. Promises made, promises kept. Audience 2, potential migrants. Anyone outside the U.S. considering unauthorized migration. Alligator Alcatraz is intended as a deterrent spectacle. The administration wants the story of the camp to spread in migrant communities, to become a boogeyman. If you come to Florida, or by extension the U.S., you could end up in a hellish camp in the alligator swamps. So, the warning goes. In this sense, the audience is transnational. The theater of cruelty is intended to evoke fear in Mexico, Central America, the Caribbean, and Africa. Anywhere people contemplate the journey. In other words, come here, and this could happen to you. It's a twist on the American dream. Audience 3, the general American public and political opposition. Here, the intended message is one of intimidation and normalization. The camp is a statement that the administration will not be constrained by liberal niceties or even by standard law. The spectacle dominates headlines, as it has, potentially distracting from other issues and forces opponents into a position of constantly responding. There's also a tactical aim to desensitize the broader public to such behavior. You keep on lowering the bar of expected behavior, and bad behavior becomes the norm, setting the stage for future spin-offs of this show. In the end, the existence of multiple audiences, enthusiastic, terrified, appalled, underscores the Alligator Alcatraz is fundamentally a communication strategy as much as an incarceration strategy. It is a spectacle designed to speak, to shout a message of deterrence, dominance, and dehumanization. Whether that message is received with applause, with fear, or with outrage depends on who's watching. And many are indeed watching. As we move into our closing, we reflect on what this spectacle means in a broader context, in the theories of power, and in the soul of the nation. The final act. The lights dim, gets a bit sexy, and we turn to a more philosophical scene of the statements written on the bodies of immigrants. Philosopher Michel Foucault wrote about how modern states shifted from the public spectacle of punishment, think of a sort of family gathering at medieval tortures in the town square, to hidden bureaucratic incarceration, a regime of discipline out of sight. Yet, what we see in Florida is a curious resurrection of the spectacle of punishment. It's as if the state has decided that to project power, it must once again put punishment on display. In Foucault's terms, power here is not concerned with rehabilitation or even efficient management. It is concerned with making a statement. There is also a performative and surreal aspect to all this that calls to mind Guy Debord. Debord, in the Society of the Spectacle, told us that modern life is dominated by spectacles, staged representations that serve to reinforce the status quo, turning real life into mere images. Alligator Alcatraz is precisely such a spectacle, a highly mediatic production aimed at communicating an ideology that migrants are dangerous and must be met with extreme force, and at anesthetizing the public's critical faculties through shock and awe. It's telling that it even has a brand name and merch. It's also critical to consider what the brand name and merchandise do. Branding defines how the institution and its members want to be perceived. For example, many legacy media outlets such as CNN and Fox News brand themselves as fair and balanced. So when our institutions and leaders who represent us Americans start merchandising human suffering and market a space where exceptions to the rule of law exist, it is a cause for concern that reflects upon you, me, and every American. And if you are on the fence, ask yourself, is this a brand you want to be a part of? The Alligator Alcatraz saga is a stark mirror held up to American society. Some look and see a triumphant reflection of strength, others see a grotesque distortion of justice. But no matter your stance, you must know the trend to cement the social reality in which empathy for the detained is eroded and draconian measures are normalized. At some point, historians will cite Florida's Alligator Alcatraz as a theater of fear. Let it stand now, instead, as a lesson, a cautionary tale of how easily fear can become policy and how policy can become spectacle. And let that lesson galvanize a recommitment to the values that such a spectacle seeks to trample: human rights, the rule of law, and basic compassion. Please like, share, and subscribe to Speak Online. Sign up for our newsletter at tospeakonline.com. Link in the description also. If you want to support this work or you just like the hat, please become a member at tospeakonline.com, where you gain access to member content, exclusive offers from our partners. Also take a look at other ways you can support us. Information in the description. Have a good night.